You are about to hear a beautiful presentation delivered at Stanford University for a conference on religion, ecology, and the future of applied humanities, organized by ACRE, the Applied Collaboratory for Religion and Ecology. Links to their brand new socials are down below. Please go give them a follow. They are doing great work, and more of the lectures from this conference will be available on their pages in the upcoming weeks. And with that, I give you Douglas Christie.
Morning, everyone. My name is Douglas Christie. I teach at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, and I'm really delighted to be here. I'm so appreciative of all the work that Ariel and Ariane and Nama have put into this gathering, and I'm also full of admiration for the deep commitment that I have witnessed from each of you as you've presented your work and we've engaged one another. So it's really a delight for me to be here. The trouble I'm trying to stay with, I suppose, and I'll just preview what I'm going to say here, is that is the question of what it means for us, what it might mean for us to pray or meditate in place, and what it will cost us potentially in a moment of widespread and chronic displacement if we don't manage to incorporate place into our spiritual practice. And in a nutshell, that's what I'm interested in reflecting on with you today. And I'm going to speak personally about a place that has a lot of importance for me, and then hopefully just go out from there. So the image I'm sharing here, I should probably say that, so this little affinity group that gathered, since we're staying with the troubles, by the way, does that make us troublemakers also? Is that who we are? Okay. So we talked about how we might organize ourselves, and one idea we came up with is just limiting ourselves to a single image. So each of us is going to share and reflect in the company of an image, and this is the one that I chose. So it's from Redwoods Monastery in Northern California on the border of Mendocino and Humboldt counties. It's home to a community of Cistercian nuns who arrived here from Belgium in the early 1960s and who, as part of their monastic practice, offer hospitality to anyone who wishes to enter the silence and solitude with them. They also take seriously their responsibility to care for the place, to become, as one of the founders of the Cistercian order put it, lovers of the place. For many years, I've been spending time here, and it is here more than anywhere else that I've been initiated into the reality of a contemplative practice that is sensitive to place, a contemplative ecology that takes seriously both the power of place and the power of metaphors of place to evoke a sense of spiritual depth and breadth and vastness. First, the place itself. Here I want to draw particular attention to the relationship between architecture and ecology and how this impacts the sense of prayer. The chapel is simple in the Cistercian style. We might recognize it as modernist, but it's very much in the Cistercian style. Cinder block walls, poured concrete floor, few statues or images, and intimate. But it is also, because of the tall glass window just behind the altar, expansive, open to the world beyond, and inclusive of that world. An enormous redwood tree looms just outside, and beyond that, a field, a forest, and a river, often teeming with salmon, that runs out to the Pacific Ocean. An intimate and expansive space. To enter and inhabit silence in this space is to feel oneself simultaneously inside and outside, and to experience the boundaries between the inner life and the outer world, quotation marks around those, or the sacred and the profane becoming porous and permeable. There is something here akin to what biologists refer to, and Ariel helped us with this yesterday, referred to as an ecotone, an open, indeterminate space characterized by a rich exchange or mingling of life among and between distinctive biological habitats and life forms. A richness of life arising precisely from that exchange. Or, to use the language often employed by mystical writers, there is here a sense of co-inherence, or even undifferentiated union between the self and the all. The place of prayer becomes what Gaston Bachelard calls an intimate immensity, or an ecotone of spirit. Monastic places and the rich traditions of thought and practice from which they arise can offer us important access to this ecotone of spirit. Essential to Christian monastic practice is a commitment to place through a vow of stability, or what the monastic tradition calls conversatio morum, a radical reorientation of one's entire consciousness to the life and spirit of the place. The diverse geography of Christian monasticism is an eloquent reminder of what it meant for monks or nuns to live and pray in place, in the far eastern deserts of Egypt, in the mountains of Provence, or in little beehive huts on an island off the coast of Ireland. So it is here at Redwoods, where the practice of prayer, especially contemplative prayer rooted in paying attention in silence and stillness, arises from and is responsive to the particular character of this bioregion, the redwood forest especially. Still, it is not only the places themselves that inform this contemplative tradition. It is also rich metaphors of place, especially vast places such as desert, ocean, night, and abyss, that shape the imagination of contemplative communities and the practices that give them life. In the ancient monastic tradition, for example, the desert was both the place the monks inhabited and a crucial emblem for the experience of prayer. When the mind has put off the old self and shall put on the one born of grace, says Evagrius of Pontus, then it will see its own state in the time of prayer resembling sapphire or the color of heaven. This state Scripture calls the place of God that was seen by the elders on Mount Sinai. The place of God, not any ordinary place, surely, but the locus of an encounter with the one who is known beyond all language, all concepts, all images, an unmediated, ineffable experience of the divine, open, expansive, endless, made present through a shared memory of place, here a great mountain in the desert. The medieval German mystic Meister Eckhart takes such thinking even further, suggesting that, and here I quote him, a person must learn to acquire an inward desert. Wherever and with whomever she is, she must learn to break through things and seize God in them, and to make God's image grow within herself. Thus, a person should be pervaded with God's presence, transformed with the form of her beloved God, and made essential by God, so that God's presence shines for her without any effort. Rather, she will find emptiness in all things and be totally free of things. Here, the sense of place becomes indistinguishable from the radical emptiness known to those who have learned to break through things and seize God in them. Such awareness requires no special techniques or esoteric knowledge, nor does the one seeking it need to withdraw to a monastery to find it. The inward desert is present to the honest seeker wherever and with whomever she is. Still, it is not easy to acquire. It requires a willingness to become empty, to discover the emptiness in all things, and to live from the ground of that deep freedom. This is an immersive experience in which we relinquish the sense of safe distance that so often characterizes our relationship with God, one another, and the living world. It requires us to risk something deeper, both more intimate and more expansive. We discover that we, along with everyone and everything, are pervaded with God's presence, and we come to see God's presence shining in all things in an experience of what John Rusbrook calls bare love in emptiness. We've traveled some distance from that cinder block chapel at Redwoods Monastery, but these images of immensity and the experience of vastness they evoke are closely bound to the very particular sense of place that unfolds here, and to the practice of placemaking rooted in prosoche, or attention, that gives such meaning to the life of this community. It is a daily, moment-by-moment practice of paying attention that excludes nothing and includes, it seems, everything, a practice that unfolds in the silence of that chapel, certainly, but also in the kitchen, the garden, the guest house, the woods, also in the work of writing on behalf of prisoners of conscience and participating in the shared effort to preserve what remains of the old-growth forest, and in the gift of hospitality offered to all those weary souls seeking refuge in this place. Here we come close, I think, to what Michel de Certeau calls the practice of everyday life, a simple practice rooted in place and sensitive to the life of the place and to the movement of spirit there. The practice that, with sufficient care and attention, can become a tactic capable of helping us reimagine who we are in the world and how to live with greater care for the world. The ancient desert monastic tradition had its own name for this beautiful reality. They called it simply the common life. Nothing excluded, everything included, a deeply contemplative, ecological vision of life. Here they believed it becomes possible to learn again, to become aware of what the medieval Flemish mystic Hadovich called the wholeness that makes all of life whole, and to live out of that awareness on behalf of the world. Thanks.